What's going on, everybody? Hey, welcome back to the channel. Hey, look, first and foremost, before we get going, I want to give a special shout out to all the fathers. We just had our Father's Day weekend last weekend. Hopefully, you guys got some good stuff. Hopefully, you were shown that you are appreciated and what you guys go through on a day to day struggle. I guess they can show their appreciation to you, whether it be, your significant other, whether it be your kids, whether it be coworkers, whatever it may be. Hopefully you were shown some kind of appreciation. And it doesn't mean you have to get the best gift or the most expensive gift. A little simple card drawn up by, your family or your significant other or whatever it may be. That stuff goes a long way. Because at the end of the day, just show some kind of appreciation. I felt like, hey, that's one of the things that we need more of in this world because every day is not guaranteed. Uh, Although you have a father or you have a mother, it's no guarantee that that particular mother or father could give you the best. They probably want the best for you, but they're not always equipped to give you their absolute best. And it could be from a lot of different things. It could be from some of the anxiety that they go through the day to day life. It could be some of the things that, hey, I don't have the significant income to provide how I want to provide. So any of those things could be a reason why you don't have the best of the best when it comes down to your father or your significant other or whoever your mentor is in your life. So, but yeah, so again, special shout out to those type of people in your lives and whatnot, because we all know that there's no guarantee. Just because you got one doesn't mean that that particular person is going to stick around or whatever for whatever reason. So, all right. Same thing as usual. If you guys can't see me, you can't hear me, you can't see my slides, please let me know. There's an issue or something of that nature. I got the comments turned on this week, so if you guys give me if you have a comment or something, I should see it as soon as you guys put it out there. So I did share it across all the different platforms that I'm on. And if you haven't already, be sure to make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe. Tell me how good it is. Tell me how bad it is. If you want to see a certain topic or you got a certain question, feel free to reach out to me, and I'll basically try and get those particular questions answered, whether it be during the live stream or whether it be afterwards after I see what you guys put up, and I'll try and get to those. Like I said, in any given chance, I'll try and get to those either in the live stream or possibly shortly thereafter the live stream. So. All right, so we got some different topics this episode this week. It's some of the same old type of stuff when it comes down to the Lamar Jackson type of slander or the people trying to propel their quarterback ahead of him and whatnot. And I got it. Some I can understand why some of it happened, but some of it is just like, all right, man, there's a little too much of fanboying going on. Whether it's, hey, I'm a fan of the Ravens. I'm not a fan of the Ravens. I'm a fan of Lamar, not a fan of Lamar, or I'm a fan of a completely different team, and I'm trying to do whatever I can to propel my quarterback over Lamar Jackson and whatnot. And okay, some of it, like I said, some of it is warranted, but some of it is completely just out of left field. There's no way this particular quarterback, based off what they have achieved or haven't achieved, they can just automatically get the lap Lamar Jackson or get put ahead. At the end of the day, it's your opinion. Just like me talking about why I think Lamar Jackson is where he is when it comes down to our QB rankings, and then I'll go from there. I don't like to do the QB rankings. And here's the reason why: because every quarterback doesn't go against the same teams each and every year. So we find ourselves putting quarterbacks ahead of one another without letting them go through the same type of competition or letting their career play out a little bit longer before we put them in the top 5 or the top 10. Because I'll give you two in just to right off rip: CJ Stroud and Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow got to the Super Bowl. They didn't win it, but he got to the Super Bowl, and people are automatically saying, "Hey, top 2 quarterback in the NFL." Well, we have yet to see him get back or have that type of success in the playoffs. Again, we have yet to see that. So after that happened, it's kind of like, all right, he came back down to a regular realm of humanity when it comes down to what he achieved in his short career. Same thing with CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud did not make it to the Super Bowl, did not make it to the AFC Championship. However, he did have a decent enough season to where people are trying to put him in the top five, and we have yet to see him succeed the same way he did in his rookie season. So I still say, hey, pump the brakes on the quarterback ratings, if you will, until we get to see where these guys are starting to end up or finish their seasons. Because again, one season of good football or decent football does not make you a top five quarterback or a top three quarterback or even a top 10 quarterback. I think you have to be a little bit more consistent before we start to put you in those particular conversations. Not saying Burrow or Stroud hasn't been consistent, but when we're talking about that consistency, we want to say, okay, look, I want you to get back to multiple AFC championships. I want you to get to the divisional round multiple times coming from the wild card round. And I just felt like until we see those, we got to kind of hold off on, okay, we can give you a top five, but to say, hey, somebody's better than this particular quarterback in the top five, all that is, again, that's a subjective. But what do you go for? Do you go for the overall stats? Do you go for the number one seeding? Do you go for, hey, the team has had the better record? Do you go for who has had the less amount of turnovers? There's a lot of different things that you got to kind of factor in to say a quarterback is definitively better than other quarterbacks outside of, again, we're talking about the quarterbacks that pass the eye test. Because again, some people look at it and they say, hey, it's Patrick Mahomes, it's Jalen Hurts. It's matter of fact, Matthew Stafford is not even listed as a top five quarterback to most people that I see when they put out their list. Matthew Stafford is not in the top five because, again, when certain quarterbacks get to the Super Bowl, we love to put those quarterbacks ahead of certain other quarterbacks, the Josh Allens, the Lamar Jacksons, even the Joe Burrows, the guys that haven't won it. They put those guys ahead, but they put the quarterbacks that won one Super Bowl or went to a Super Bowl ahead of the guys that never been to one or never won one. And I understand the reasoning behind it. However, winning the Super Bowl is not a quarterback specific thing. For instance, a quarterback can't win the Super Bowl by itself without the running back getting the Super Bowl trophy to get the ring or whatever it may be. I just felt like it's a team accomplishment, and I got it. I understand we want to give the quarterback their praise, but I just don't believe the whole Super Bowl winning the Super Bowl is the reasoning to put one quarterback over the other. Not that by itself. So, all right, but that's neither here nor there. Let me check and see if I got any particular comments. Okay, no comments off the record. Okay, cool. All right, so we got that out of the way when it comes down to the quarterbacks. Who knows? I may do a video about the quarterbacks who I think is in my top 10, and then what would be the criteria. I may do a video like that, but that's not one of my topics for today. We got some different type of topics, and some of these topics we're going to talk about, and then hopefully don't confuse you guys too much. Hopefully you guys are able to follow along with me. If you got something that you say, hey, I want to see, Coach, can you talk about this? Or Coach, can you talk about that based off of these slides that I'm going to have? Please feel free to let me know so I can try and get what you guys are asking for out to you as quick as possible. So, all right. So first particular topic is, hey, man, we got him. We got Jair Alexander for the low, man. For the low, it's 1 year, $4 million, and it can balloon up to $6 million based off of how much he plays when it comes down to it. So the snaps that he plays or the percentage of the plays that he plays, he gets some incentives. I think it's 500K per incentive, to where he plays a certain amount, and it goes up as he plays. It's a good thing to have that kind of deal. The reason why I say that's a good thing to have that kind of deal, because again, coming over to the Ravens, there have been talks about, that's the real concern, about how healthy is he. Is he healthy enough to give the Ravens what the Ravens are going to be looking for when it comes down to, hey, we want that all pro Jair. We don't want the Jair 7 games in 3 years, or 7 games in 2 years. We don't want that type of Jair. We want the Jair that's going to come out and help contribute. Even though the Ravens don't really have to rely on them, but it will be great if they know for sure, hey, this guy is 100% healthy, and now we have another asset on that side of the ball, to where now we can do some different things. And when you guys see what I'm talking about, I'm gonna show you what I would do if I was the Ravens defensive coordinator, in the type of front I would play, and the type of coverage I would play as well. But we'll see that later on. So congrats to the Baltimore Ravens for pulling the trigger. EDC, I love you for doing that. Pulling the trigger as quick as you did, and letting them get in the building and not letting them leave. Because I do know some other teams was in the midst of it, or in the mix of it as well. It was the Atlanta Falcons and the Miami Dolphins were the two that I remember correctly, if I remember correctly. So those other teams, and I'm pretty sure he was offered more money to go to those particular teams. So it means either one or two things. The relationship with Lamar Jackson is really, really authentic and pure, or the guy is really saying, "Hey, I want to go out and win a Super Bowl." And I felt like, hey, okay, look, the Lamar thing is sweet, but right now they have a window for to win the Super Bowl as well. So if they got a window to win the Super Bowl, and oh yeah, by the way, I don't have to come in and be cornerback one or DB1. I can come in and go as low as cornerback three in a role to where I'm not even a starter. I'm coming in for situational football, and then I just felt like, if that is the case, now that works out even more for the Baltimore Ravens. What I mean by that is saying, hey, look, we don't have to put a lot of pressure on this guy coming off of the injury history that he's had. We can kind of let him slow play himself into the rotation or into the starting role later in the season and whatnot. And I just felt like this bodes well for the Ravens later on. Here's the reason why. Because as you guys see on the graphic, the tight window target rate, we got three guys in this top five that have a tight window percentage, high tight window percentage throws. And what does that mean? That doesn't mean that, hey, all these particular passes are going to be incomplete. What does that mean? That, hey, quarterbacks have to be on their ish when it comes down to throwing it. We love the young guys, young people today say, that's a dot. That's what it basically you have to do when you have these three guys that are playing for the Baltimore Ravens in their secondary, with Chidobe Awuzie, Jair himself, and then Marlon Humphrey is the third guy that's on this list. And again, having to throw in tight windows, I just think it increases the probability you throwing interceptions now, because if that ball is tipped or that ball deflects off somebody or whatever it may be, or receivers don't see it right then and there, it increases the chances of us getting turnovers. And we all know, just like I talked about 2 videos ago, we talked about late in the season, early in the playoffs, or even deep in the playoffs, the Ravens defense has a tendency to not get turnovers. And that hurts. That hurts because if the Ravens has one turnover and we don't get any turnovers, that gives them an extra possession, right? And then depending on where it is, where it happens, if we give them a short field, now we talking a 10-point swing. It depends on if they just scored and we're trying to go down and answer that score, and we give up a short field. So I just feel like, hey, having these type of players on our team is going to increase that. But then what it also is going to help out, if these things go in our favor, now we're talking, hey, we can steal possessions along the way, because they have to throw opposing quarterbacks are having to throw in these tight window tight windows. So that's good that we have this guy on the team. but everybody else got to uh, come to the party with what they normally do. And there's two guys on here on this particular thing on this slide that I wanted to put on here. It was Bentley from the Patriots, Jaquan Bentley, and then C.J. Mosley. We tried to reacquire C.J. Mosley, um, but he didn't clear. I think he had a neck issue, a neck injury that was continued to linger, and that's the reason why he wasn't clear. Would have been a great addition. Here's the reason why it would have been a great addition. Uh, Having Mike linebacker, middle linebacker experience, pairing him up with another Mike linebacker minded player in Roquan Smith. It, Listen, having two middle linebacker thinking personnel as your linebackers, as your two starting linebackers, is crazy. Okay, because we seen what it's like not having a true Mike linebacker at the helm and trying to have a regular linebacker navigate the middle of the field and kind of get people in position and actually make the right checks and whatnot, or even just echo the calls. So if you got a guy that's kind of like a don't want to talk as much or is not the vocal point for the defense, then it becomes kind of awkward when it comes down to, hey, okay, look, uh, we don't have this particular vocal person on the defense, and now that particular person is trying to be that guy to come in with the calls or the checks in certain situations. It just it could be kind of awkward saying, hey, I don't really get motivated. I really don't listen to this guy. I'm not used to it. Whereas if you have two Mike linebackers, these are the guys that, hey, look, I can force if we need to check into something, and I'm not going to be kind of nervous about checking into something. Or if somebody's not doing what they need to be doing, I can check that particular person on the field, and that person kind of feels like, hey, okay, yep, I really need to do my job. So having two of those guys on in the middle of the field would be crazy to have. What I like about Bentley's, I want to say he's 28, 27, 28, pretty young. Had some injuries with New England last year. I think he tore his pec, but I think he should be getting really close to being back to ready to play football. What I like about him is gap discipline, his block destruction, and then on top of this, not a lot of wasted movement from the linebacker position. So I know for sure if we were to use him as our blitzing linebacker or our cleanup linebacker, I feel like he is more than serviceable to do it. It's just going to be, it's going to matter how much is it going to cost the Baltimore Ravens to get a guy like Bentley. Still believe he's a free agent. I'm fairly certain that he's a free agent. And I think he got one contract. So I think he's like a 4 or 5 year player. Um, and again, I think he's pretty low on the radar when it comes down to linebacker pickups. And if the Ravens are going to add another linebacker, from what I've seen in the free agent pool, I think Bentley would probably be one of the better options if we were to bring in a veteran help as far as the middle of the field and having another floor general out there. Abdi Hassan, hey, what's up, man? How you doing? I see what you put up here. How you doing today, man? Hopefully you're having a good day. Hopefully all is well with you. All right. So yeah. If since we didn't get C.J. Mosley, if we was to acquire a player like Bentley, I know some people were talking about Jadeveon Clowney and even Zadarius Smith. I would love to have as much defense that we can have that's gonna just add to what we already have. The biggest thing is I just don't want anybody to kind of go missing though. That's the biggest thing. And what I mean by missing, we're talking about, hey, 6 to 8 games where this person has little to no effect on the game itself. I just feel like if we bring that type of player in, then it's kind of like wasted money or wasted effort. So I just feel like, hey, we need to add to something that we already have that's going good, or this particular person can push what we already have and make that particular person better or that particular room better. So, all right. So if there's no questions or no comments, okay, cool. All right. So we're going to move to the next one. All right. So this is one of my favorite things. The reason why one of my favorite things is because schematically, putting stuff together is beautiful, but it's more enjoyable once you see it and you actually and it works. That's when it's really really enjoyable. When it comes down to, hey, we had this particular problem. This is what we did to adjust to it, or this is how we lined up to it, and then this is what we did to take certain things away from them. And when you're able to do that, especially even on the fly, so if you're able to do that on the fly, I, this is where I think you really make your money as a coach. It's saying, hey, okay, look, man, you trying to go trips in the boundaries, or you trying to go bunch into the boundary or whatever. I have these particular things to line it up to take these things away from you. Whether it's you're trying to get your third wide receiver on one of my linebackers that can't cover as well. How do I hide that? How do I take that away from you doing that and whatnot? And I just felt like, hey, this next particular scheme right here, I believe this particular scheme right here would be uh, good to stop most things that everybody wants to do in the NFL to you. And the reason why I say this one is because we all know the Ravens wanted to do the three high safeties, and the Ravens do the three high safety. Look, I think this is probably going to be the best one. And the reason why I say that is because um, we can walk down safeties. We can walk down the star. We can bring those guys down, and we can make a cover one look with just the star being the one high. We can do it vice versa. We can have the star come and play the left outside linebacker. We can have the strong safety play the right outside linebacker. And we can do a cover three look out of that shell, that three high look. It's a lot. You can do a cover two. It's so much. It's so versatile. This particular front, when it comes down to who you're playing, you can drop a linebacker, whether it be the Mike or the Will. You can bring them down to the line of scrimmage and have what we call a bear front, if you will. And it's just so much you can do with this particular look. And I just felt like this right here is a great start. It's a 4-2-5. If we do this 4-2-5, we can shapeshift this into whatever we want. The other thing I like about this is we can kind of steal blitzes. So if we have this particular scheme and they're on a particular hash, we can actually send a cornerback blitz. So we could take a cornerback blitz, the left cornerback. Let's say we's on the left hash, left cornerback can blitz. That'll give us five rushers. And then, the Mike and Will can stay home, or we can send the Will on the opposite side, the right outside of the right end. So then now we have six players to blitz, but then we also still have one, two, three, four, five people to drop back in coverage. We got five to drop back in coverage, and we can send six home. uh, I just felt like, again, the versatility for this particular defense, if we do this, I just felt like, hey, we can mask a lot of different things that we want to do, whether it be, hey, I put Marlon Humphrey at the star, I put Jair Alexander at the star, or I put Kyle Hamilton at the star and bring in one of the young safeties to play the free safety, not free safety, but strong safety. And then that way I can put Malachi Starks and another young guy back there. If I say, hey, look, I don't want to trust those young guys or put those young guys in a situation, I can have Kyle Hamilton back there along with Malachi Starks, and then the star I could put Marlon Humphrey or Jair Alexander, or if I like what I got in Nate Wiggins and Marlon Humphreys, I can put Chidobe Awuzie back there as a nickel or the star. And what that does for me again is that frees up some of the guys that I want to free up to be just stagnant. And then I just feel like if you moving those pieces around like that in the secondary, I just think it can really mess with the tendencies or the people thinking our certain defensive tendencies that we have. It can really mess with the offense, opposing offenses, because they say, hey man, Kyle Hamilton is back, so we feel like we can throw the ball. Well, guess what? We just put him at star and we brought him down in the box. Hold on, man. Wait a minute. Is he rushing or is he staying back or what? And I just feel like, again, moving these particular pieces around in the secondary, I just felt like this is only going to help later on when it comes down to teams trying to scheme up us and whatnot. So if you're looking at this particular thing, again, these ends, these the nose or the tackle or whatever, it doesn't have to be a certain player. It can be anybody. The reason why I say it can be anybody is because schematically, I could bring a cornerback down and run a cornerback blitz, or I can bring the mic down and they can do a twist. They can do a twist between him and the end or whatever it may be. There's a lot of different. Again, there's so many different things that you can do. As long as these four guys do their job, it should be an advantage. Whether we bring in the will or the mic or either cornerback or even one of the safeties, so it should be relatively easy blitz packages when it comes down to creating off of this particular scheme. So the 4-2-5 is what I would go to based on how we're currently constructed. The reason being is because it gives an opportunity for multiple layers to rush and get after the passer should we need it. So we need to get to 5 or we need to get to 6 people blitzing. We're able to do that pretty easily in the 4-2-5. And the reason for that is because of whatever linebacker that leads, the star can kind of come down and cover that particular passing zone until he gets home, if it's indeed a pass. But if it's a run, we should we should win majority of the situations when it comes down to the running situation. Because even if you have a running quarterback, right? So if you go 3 receivers or 4 receivers, whatever it may be, you got the safeties and cornerbacks to match up with those 4 receivers. And then even then, if you start to run it with your 4 receivers, I can go man, and then I have 7 on your 7 on your 6. 7 on your 6, I should win that particular matchup with ease. And so if you have again the four wide receivers, quarterback, running back, and then the 5 linemen. So the 5 linemen, 6, 7, and then the 4. So again, like I said, I should win that particular matchup most of the time. So all right. Any questions at all? Okay. Yeah. So Abdi Hassan said, "Go EDC, go get Justin Simmons." Again, I'm not going to be opposed to it, right? But how much money is that going to cost us, right? And then the other thing is, what does this do for our young guys' growth? Because we also want our young guys to develop with Kane and Brady. We want those guys to kind of develop. If not both of them, one of them. We want one of them to kind of, hey, okay, look, all right, if we don't re-sign Darius Washington after this injury, after he comes back off of it, if we don't re-sign him, we already got a replacement for him if need be. Because I just feel like, hey, if we don't let those young guys play right now, I just feel like again you're going to kind of stunt those guys' growth. So I need, if not both, I want one of them to kind of play and outshine the other to where now, hey, the young guy can kind of get coached up. And then who knows, it could probably be the third high safety when it comes down to having Hamilton starts, and then whoever the third guy would be if he's developed properly. So I do want to let them play. Please let them play and let them kind of figure it out as we go. So that way we don't have to kind of in the draft panic and pick an extra safety when we already have them here in house. All right, what's up, Don? How you doing, man? Hopefully you had a good Father's Day. Hopefully you got everything that you asked for, or that you were showing the proper appreciation. So, um, all right, so yeah, that particular thing when it comes down to the 4-2-5, this is the reason why I liked it. It was because you can walk people up to different levels, or even walk them back if you need to. So let's just say, for instance, right. We have a person like Adafe Owe playing the edge. That Adafe Owe playing the edge could definitely go out and take a curl flat window, right? He take a curl flat window, but then what does that do for our front? So now I can be a little bit aggressive with the linebacker that's on his side. So that particular linebacker can blitz. So now, hey, okay, if that particular guy blitzes, we don't lose an entity on that particular defensive side. So meaning like, hey, if the wheel blitzes, yeah, we may lose his hook zone right there, but that's where the star could come down in if we are telling the end on that same side to take their flats. That wheel takes the uh, hook curl. I'm sorry, the hook zone, and then we kind of just play it from there. What that does then is not. That's the other thing is it breaks a tendency if we saying, hey, look, if they have Odafe Owe out there, he's never going to drop back in coverage. Well, if we have this particular, and again, before some of y'all freak out, I'm just saying, hey, if we did it once or twice, I'm not sitting there saying that is the norm. I'm sitting there saying put it on film so where they can see it. So now when they see it, now they're saying, oh, wait a minute, the Ravens will drop out one of their ends if they need be. But what's going to happen is hey, we lose that one particular pass rush guy. We got to get creative, whether it be the cornerback and the Mike from the same side coming, or whether it be the wheel that's coming, or whoever it may be. We just got to make sure that hey, that particular person, we're not giving those quarterbacks free passes by not sending at least four. And then if we can get home with our four, whoever that four may be, that's where I believe we would win in this particular situation because again at the second and third level is automatic. It should be creating some kind of panic for them. And with that panic, if our guys are around the ball like they've normally been, now we're spelling or we're creating more turnovers. That's what it should be. So, all right. So let me see. All right. So yeah, Don said same to you, Coach. Cool. The son, I don't care about the young player. We're trying to win the Super Bowl. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you 1,000%. Right. However, we got to also remember if we don't have a situation or we don't prepare to be proactive, so if somebody goes down or somebody is not there for a week or so, I just believe having those young guys prepared and not trying to ask them to do too much without having the stage fright situations already gone or behind them or the butterflies in the stomach situations type of gone. If we put them on a big stage and they're not able to the lights are not too bright for them. I just feel like that's where we will really win the Super Bowl. Probably not even just one, probably multiple. If we have young guys that are willing and capable to come in, if somebody goes down and they're able to thrive in their particular situation or what they're being asked to do. So I just feel like, hey, as you guys can see, you know, the Super Bowl winners, the last Super Bowl winners that won it, also had a really good depth, whether it be offensive depth, defensive depth, and those guys came back and did what they needed to do. So Javon Holland, I think he is. Give me 2 seconds. Let me see if he's still available. 2 seconds. Uh, nope, he signed with the Giants. Javon Holland signed with the Giants. All right, so Holland is not available. Can Marlo drop back at safety? Yeah. So Don C. I don't know if you can see it or not, but if you see my cursor, that's why I put Marlon Humphrey at the star or either Jair Alexander, either one, because I feel like the IQ of those guys and the football sense of those guys makes the most sense. So if I was to say, okay. Got it. So yeah, and if need be, right? So let's just say, hey, cornerbacks are responsible for curl flat windows on both sides, right? And then we just say, hey, we're going to play a cover three over top of it. So the free safety would take a third, the star would take a third. In this case, would be Marlon Humphrey or even Alexander and then the strong safety, whoever that may be, it can be Kyle, it can be Starks or whatever, and they'll take a third as well. And what that'll do is you leave now, you got six guys up here purely for the run game. So every lineman and then at the running back. Now, where we get into trouble is if this is a running quarterback. If this is a running quarterback, now we can't do that. We basically need to steal away to where we can put all seven of these guys in for the run fits. And reason why we want all seven for those is you say five, quarterback and running back. Running back and quarterback are both running threats. If we got seven on seven, 9 times out of 10, we should win those particular things. That's why I said again, if we go to this 4-2-5, I think it's going to be great for us because if they send four receivers, no matter where they go, we should be able to come out on top. So if it's four receivers and we're gonna go trips to the left. So he'll take one, he'll take two, he'll take three. If they go shallow, if they go shallow in the cross, the Mike will take three, but three in inside or three and up or vertical will be the star responsibility. And then backside, we would have the numbers. We would have 1 on 2. Because it'd be three receivers over here, and that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4 on 3, and then be 1, 2 on 1 would be the long receiver right here. So again, he would take shallow and in. Anything shallow in this little slant window and across the field, cornerback would be on top of that. And then if he goes vertical and tries to hit a corner route, the strong safety stays over top of that. So, all right. And yeah, cool. All right. So I'm not going to go too much more on the 4-2-5. You guys kind of get the drift on it. But that's the reason why I like it, because of the versatility, not just of the scheme itself, but of the players that we have on the team to run this particular defensive scheme. And I just felt like, hey, this is where we make the most bang for our buck running this type of system. Because again, you can move people around to get you what you want, to create an advantage for you on the fly, rather than taking people out of the game and making substitutions to do it. So, all right. So enough about that stuff. We're going to talk about this. The top 10 offenses according to sportsnot.com. Again, I did not make this list. I don't have any skin in the game, if you will, when it comes down to who's top 10, who's top 5, or any of that nature. I'm just going off of what they put out. And then what they put out, I'll talk a little bit about it. I think it's warranted. I think it's justified. But right off rip, I feel like there may be a slight to the Houston Texans. And the reason I said there may be a slight, right, the slight to the Houston Texans, because I just felt like what they did in free agency, especially as of late, with the Nick Chubb and then the Jaden Higgins, as well as even Jalen Noel coming on the team. I just feel like the receivers and the tight end window that they have, I just felt like they could really be higher than what people think they are. Because right now, people think they're they're the 14th in sports now. Think they're the 14th best offense in the NFL. I don't believe they're that low. I think they're a little bit higher than what they are. So I wouldn't be surprised if they wouldn't take the place of one of these particular teams. Could be the Chargers, could be the Commanders. I just feel like these guys are a little bit better than what the sportsnow.com people are putting out. So as you guys looking at this thing, to kind of orient you to it, obviously you see the teams, you see the number 1 to 10 or whatever, that stuff self-explanatory. We got the points for, and then the total yards. And points for is like total points per game, okay? Points per game. And as of right now, the Detroit Lions scored the most points per game last year. The Buffalo Bills was number 2. Baltimore Ravens was number 3. Tampa Bay Bucks is number 4. And the Philadelphia Eagles rounded out the top 5. So after the top 5, as you guys see, this thing kind of fluctuate all over. So it doesn't mean just because you had a lot of points or you scored a lot of points, you had a lot of yards and whatnot. Because again, the Ravens had the most yards total, but they didn't have the most points scored. So when they come down to this particular thing, it gets interesting because now we're seeing, hey, some teams put up a lot of yards, but not necessarily a lot of points. Okay, and we're also seeing team put up a lot of points, right? But not a lot of yards, not a mess ton of yards. So for instance, if you're looking at this particular, like the Buffalo Bills, well, Buffalo Bills is kind of, they put up a lot of points and a lot of yards. But if you look at the Rams, so the Rams were 15 in yards, right? But then points for, they were 19. But then these people at sportsnow.com put them at as a top 10 offense. And then that could be because of the acquisitions that they made in free agency, or it could be what they did in the draft. I will tell you, the Devontae Adams acquisition, it's probably a perfect match. Okay, when I say perfect match, we're talking, we had Puka Nakua, which we knew, hey, the guy was a phenom when it come down to what he did, and we burst onto the scene as a rookie. Was even better in his second year, and he kept stayed consistent. And then now you get rid of Cooper Cup, but then you also gain a guy like Devontae Adams. I just felt like, hey, they shouldn't lose anything offensively, right? They still should be able to continue doing what they need to do. And then, especially if they're going to be the running back by committee type of offense as well, as far as their run game or liability. I believe having a player like Jarquez Hunter coming in and being the third running back. Look, I'm a big Auburn fan, and I know he's capable of doing, catching the ball out of the backfield, pass block, a pass pro, and whatnot. That could be a really good acquisition for them, picking him up in the draft, because I know McVay is going to try and move them around and get them where they need to be. So the Rams could be a sneaky team. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, what they did in free agency and in the draft, keeping Godwin, keeping Mike Evans, that's huge for them, right? And I just felt like Bucky Irvin is going to continue to get better. They got some O line issues. As long as their O line comes back healthy and they don't have any issues, I can still see them being a top 10 offense in the NFL. Because again, Baker Mayfield has found it. People can say what they want. He's found his home, right? Because a lot of people, thought Cleveland pulled the trigger too early to get rid of him and or not re-sign him, right? And some people thought that they did it a little bit prematurely instead of saying, "Hey, look, let's get this guy some more receivers, or some better options out there," instead of just asking him to go play hero ball. And I just felt like they did it a little too early. They got rid of him, though they jumped off the pot a little too soon, because I thought, again, if the Browns are going to be anything in the future, it was going to be with Baker Mayfield, not resetting. And I just think them trying to reset the market or reset their quarterback room without having a definitive answer in there, then it kind of bit them in the butt once the Deshaun Watson stuff fell through as well. So now it's like, hey, the Browns are struggling to have somebody at the helm, and it doesn't matter because no receivers want to go there. If I'm 1,000-yard receiver consistently, double-digit touchdown type of receiver, Cleveland is the last place in the NFL that I want to go, because I know it'd be one thing if I can go there and put up a consistent 1,000 yards and get paid and be labeled as a top 10 receiver, but just never get to the Super Bowl. But it's a whole nother monster when I don't do any of that. We don't win. And then, oh, yeah, by the way, I don't put up any numbers as well. So now it's like, oh, man, why did I even come here? So I just felt like you're kind of screwed as a receiver or a quarterback without having those particular things carved out, whether it be, hey, getting the offensive line more healthy or getting better options. And then on top of this, creating a complementary wide receiver room as well as a run game. Now, they do have some good pieces what they got in the draft, but it's Cleveland we're talking about. So we got to see it. I do like the Judkins acquisition. I do like the quarterback room. They got a lot of different types of quarterbacks, but I just want to see who's going to come out on top of that quarterback race. Is it going to be Pickett? Is it going to be Shador? Is it going to be Gabriel? Is it going to be old man Flacco? We don't know. We have no idea. I just would like to see who is going to be, so then we can go from there. All right. Let's see. So we got any comment? Yep. I thought, all right, coach, who are you excited to see this training? For me, being a defensive guy, um, Mike Evans and Malachi Starks. I think those are going to be my two guys that I want to see the most. But if I had to pick an offensive guy to be the most excited for, it'll probably be Tez. And the reason why I say it'd probably be Tez because Tez hadn't played a lot of football, a ton of football. And even at the collegiate level, hadn't played a ton, and he went through some stuff in his last year to where they were trying to screw him, and I just feel like him getting it and then getting this chance to go and spread his wings and show what he's capable of doing. I just feel like um, that'll be the ultimate return on investment for the Ravens to have that type of third wide receiver three. And then now we're talking all three of the best wide receivers for the Ravens at that point. If he turns the corner, will be all have been drafted by the Ravens and still on the roster. So I just feel like Tez Walker is probably, if I was to pick an offensive play, he's probably one of the more exciting ones that I want to see at the training camp. So all right. Just a little bit more about this particular top 10 offenses. If you guys see, right, there's also a lot of chances of teams falling off because again, you have to kind of replicate what you did last year. I don't know about the Bengals continue to do what they did last year. And what I mean by that, we're talking about the run game. Are they going to keep the run game abreast in their game plans to give their guy Brown a healthy dose to get over 1,000 yards, to get 10 touchdowns rushing? Because I do know they want to air it out. I know that for sure. And for me, he said, hey, okay, look, you want to air it out, but what does that do? Does that diminish the run game as a whole? Because there were times to where the Bengals would be in the game and all they had to do, if they were leading, they didn't have any kind of run game. And that hurt them. Case in point, against the Ravens, I want to say it was 35-21 or something like that. And there was like 7 minutes to go. If they had a reliable run game, I think their run game helps them close that game out against the Ravens. But instead, they lose the game because, hey, guess what? We can't move the ball effectively in the run game. So guess what? The Ravens were able to capitalize off of it because again, one of those tight window throws, it gets deflected. Marlon Humphrey comes down with that particular that ball. I believe it's on the slant, and Marlon Humphrey takes that ball, and then now we win that particular game, having been down by 10 plus points, less than 8 minutes to go. So I just feel like the Bengals could kind of take a step back if they don't rely on their run game. The other thing is the Detroit Lions. I think Don just put it in here. Yep. So Don said, I think Detroit may take a step back after losing the OC to Chicago and Aaron Glenn to the Jets. That's a big loss. Absolutely. So those are huge losses for both of them, right? Both sides of the ball, offense and defense. And so now we're talking, hey, the Lions may not be a top 10 offense and defense like we thought they would be, because again, they have some growing pains when it comes down to new people or personnel. You have new coordinators. That stuff doesn't always go well in the first year or so. It may take 2 years. It may take 3 years before you get to see the fruits of the labor of this particular switch of this particular coordinator. So don't be surprised if one or two of these teams, or probably even more, are not on this list by the end of the season when it comes down to top 10 offenses and whatnot. And then even then at the end of the day, this is opinion based, and it's also has a little bit of stats behind it to kind of help prop it up a little bit more. But at the end of the day, we don't know if the Kansas City Chiefs is going to be the 10th best offense. They may be number one. We don't know if the Baltimore Ravens could be top two offense. They may be number 10. We don't know that until stuff starts to play out. So I just felt like, hey, this is a good starting point, but it's not the end all be all, especially when you go look at the defense for the next slide. So, all right. And then for this one, so it's the top 10 defense, and the top 10 defense are same thing: scoring, amount of yards you're giving up, that type of stuff, sacks, all that good jazz. For me, this is where things really gets dicey. And the reason why I say things get dicey is because you guys know, just like I know, the one thing that's not factored into any kind of significant injury. Any kind of significant injury changes these top 10 defenses significantly, right? Um, we're also talking about teams playing above their potential, right? So again, we seen that last year with the Vikings. Some of those guys on those team on that particular team overachieved. Will they get the same thing this year? Same thing with like the late resurgence of certain teams' defense. When it comes down to the Eagles, at times the Eagles looked like they were unbeatable, right? They rattled off a 10-game win streak. They end up losing the game, and then they came back down to, all right, man, maybe they are human. But in the playoffs, they turned it right back on. Turned it right back on to where they looked like, hey, they were not going to lose a game, to the point where it was, hey, no, it didn't matter what mistakes the offense made. The defense kind of pulled them back in to where, hey, it's like, look, we are a well-oiled machine, to where, like, whatever shortcomings the offense had, we able to overcome it, whether it be a short field, whether it be a three and out, whether it be an interception, or be a form of force and recovery by the defense. It's just a lot of different ways that they could turn you over and put the pressure on you, and to where now it's like, hey, when you got the ball back that second or third time, you were trying to press because you gave them the ball back after a 14 play drive. Once they scored, then they got the ball back again and scored again. So now it's like, hey, we have to really push, almost into the point to where when you play against the Eagles, if you give them a turnover or a short field, you go into a desperation mode. Because again, with the Eagles, they don't have to throw the ball around the yard 40 times. I can just pound the rock. I can pound the rock, and until you change your front, or you change what you're doing, and then I can run the ball with my quarterback. Or if I need to throw it around the yard, I can throw it around the yard. Not all the time, but if I can throw it around the yard for 20 to 28 passes, 20 to 28 plays, and still beat you by double digits, I'm okay with doing that, because now I don't put the ball at risk, or by throwing it around the yard 40 times. Because again, and some people, they dislike Jalen Hurts because of that. I don't have any issues with Jalen Hurts. That's a luxury to have, and I'm happy that he got it. Hopefully, we can do the same. But we can do the same thing with Lamar. So we say, hey, look, Lamar, I know you can do it. You can throw the ball 40 times. I don't want you to throw it 40 times. Here's the reason why I don't want you to throw it 40 times: because we don't need it. If we don't need it, then hey, I'm okay with that. Making the game easier for the quarterback, or taking the pressure off the quarterback, that should be the goal. So I'm not mad at Jalen Hurts for having that luxury, or whatever it may be. Um, so for me, I feel like, hey, these particular defenses that can take it away, I just feel like your quarterback is just going to have an easier load, or path to the Super Bowl, when it comes down to making a deep run in the playoffs, or getting a good seed in the playoffs, or coming up to the playoffs, because your quarterback don't have to be Hercules every week. So yeah, let me answer this question right quick. All right, so will the Chargers be sick of Greg Roman offense by the end of the year? Well, this is interesting, right? Because I don't know if you paid attention, Don. They they added a pass game coordinator. I got to remember who it is they put in there, but it's kind of like they put their training wheels on him, and they're like, look, we're not taking the training wheels off, so we're not coming here. You're not running 12 and 13 personnel all throughout the year. We got to do something different when it comes down to what you did with the Ravens, because we don't have a Lamar Jackson, for one, and then for two. Um, they got to find out, do they want Herbert to run the ball a lot more? Because if you want him to run the ball a lot more, I can see it. But if he's not going to run the ball a lot, or a decent amount, I don't see how this offense is going to work if Greg Roman is calling the plays. Hopefully, there's a kind of mixture of both of them when it comes down to passing game and run game. Because if not, if you just give it to Greg Roman, we already know what that looks like, right? And not having a running quarterback, I just feel like you kind of handicap Greg Roman's system. So I feel they got to have some kind of answer, whether we're going to have some more design quarterback runs or we're going to have him be a little bit more opportunistic and when to take off and whatnot. Because I just don't see a pocket presence like a Justin Herbert. Not saying he can't run. I know he can run. It's just a matter about giving him an opportunity to run. Do they want to do that? Because again, we're talking about a hot commodity here, and that hot commodity for them as at that quarterback realm, you run the risk of getting him injured. What does that look like if he's injured? If he's dinged up, now what does that team look like? So, all right. So I'll be asked Trent Simpson versus Teddy Buchanan. All right. So I know a lot of us Ravens fans that's been around since Trent Simpson got here. We kind of want to write that kid off and not give him his fair shake. I feel like the Ravens are going to say, "Hey, you got the job until you decide it's not yours." And what I mean by decide it's not yours when you're not doing what we need you to do. And reason why I'm saying this is there was issues where Trent Simpson was late processing the gaps. There was issues where he was having to retrace himself from once he made a mistake. There was issues where he didn't know where the ball was and whatnot. That could have been butterflies. That could have been inexperience or whatever it may be. So I want to see Trent Simpson get his fair shake first. Let's get him his fair shake. Now I will tell you, uh, having watched Teddy Buchanan for a few years now at Cal, listen, if there's a guy that's going to push Trent Simpson, is that kid. That kid wants to play. The kid wants to be one of the great ones. And I feel like if he gets the opportunity, it's going to be hard to give it back. Okay. Barring any kind of injuries or whatever it may be, I just feel like this kid is poised to come in and be great. And I think he fell into the perfect situation with coming into the Baltimore Ravens because I don't have to be the guy. I can kind of learn from an all pro and then if I want to transition to be a linebacker or even just stay on the outside, I can do that alongside a player like Roquan Smith. And I just felt like if he's able to come in and be anything that we think he is or he has been up until this point, I just felt like that bodes well, not just for Roquan, but for the other guys as well. Because now we're talking late in game. Hey, if this guy is able to be Mike linebacker ish, now we can give our starters a rest and we can bring in younger guys to kind of get those reps as well late in games when we're up by 20 plus points if we had those type of games this year. So I like both of them. I like Teddy. I do like Trent as well. I believe the Ravens are going to go with Trent until Trent screws it up royally. And Trent screws it up royally. Now it's like, hey, okay, look, we kind of gave you a chance, and this is what it is. So, all right, let's see. Denver, unless they get a running game, I don't think they will be one on defense. They drafted Harvey in the second. Yeah. Yeah. So with Denver, the Broncos, right? So again, this is one of those teams that could have a possibly a top 10 defense and a top 10 offense. Depends on what happens with Bo Nix. Does Bo Nix have the same type of year? Does he take a bigger step forward this year than he took last year? And if that is the case, if he gets 35 touchdowns this year, I believe Denver starts to creep up into the top 10 offense as well as top 10 defense. The defense is pretty legit, right? Got a bunch of young pass rushers, uh, added some veterans in Holly Ponga from the 49ers, and added Dre Greenlaw. So adding those two pieces, I feel like, hey, okay, look, that would be one of the things that help them turn the corner. And I just feel like what they have currently right now, they shouldn't take that big of a step back. They may take a little small, minor step back. I don't see them plummeting from number one overall defense to out of the top 10. I do believe they finished somewhere along the top five for the Broncos defense. Let's see what else we got. Why is Mike Green still not signed his rookie deal? I would have to see what those numbers look like. I don't think the Ravens have some kind of crazy clause or something like that. It may be about the guarantees of it. It may be the years of it. It's a lot of different things that could go on with it because I do know like we got to remember he was projected to be a top first round pick, right? But him falling to the second, that may be one of the things like, hey, wait a minute, man, I should be paid as a first rounder when he didn't go in the first round. So I think that's where the disconnect is really is. But I think once we get closer to the season or closer towards out of the or closer to preseason in the Hall of Fame game, I believe this contract will be signed. I don't think this kid wants to kind of have this as a distraction week in and week out of why he hasn't signed his deal and whatnot. I believe it gets done. I believe it has to be explained to him about, hey, look, you're not a first round draft pick. I know you thought you were, but you didn't go there. You didn't go in the first round. You went in the second round, unfortunately. For whatever reason it may be, that's what happens. And I just don't believe the Ravens are going to commit first round type of money when it comes down to guarantees on a second round pick. So who knows? Hopefully, he's able to make it difficult on the Ravens to pay him when it comes down to his productivity. If his productivity is out there, when it comes down time to re-sign him, hopefully the Ravens are like, hey, look, this is a no-brainer. We have to get this done. And again, I hope he's a guy that's closer to 20 sacks a year for the Ravens because I think that will be the last. That will be the last thing the Ravens haven't had outside of everything else in the division is a for sure pass rusher, bona fide pass rusher that can get 15 to 20 plus sacks every year for at least maybe not his whole career, but at least early on. Hey, he can generate those pass rushes or those sacks. Because again, if we have that, we know for sure this guy is going to be a double team or demanding a double team, just like what I just showed you guys, right? So just rough mathing it. If this guy's a walking double team, that means there's two guys on him, and then that means they got three left, and it's three guys on three guys. That means somebody should win their one-on-one matchup if Mike Green is doubled every time. If Mike Green is doubled every time, we should have a free pass rush to the quarterback most of the time, as long as somebody is winning their one-on-one. And that's without having to commit 5 and 6 players to pass rush generation. So I hope, again, like I said, he makes it hard for the Ravens when it comes down to paying them each and every year because he's so good. He's that good as a pass rush. That's what I hope. All right. Let me see. So Mike Green kills it this year. We better sign him to year 3 early, I think, and hope he's our best thing since. Oh yeah, absolutely. I miss 55 too. Even not even just Suggs. I miss Elvis Dumerville. Having Elvis Dumerville here in Baltimore. That was crazy. You getting 30 sacks with two players. That's crazy. That's unheard of. Let alone for the Ravens to have the Ravens get a player or have two players accumulate 30 sacks or close to 30 sacks a year in and year out. Yeah, I would be loving every bit of that. So hopefully we do have that on the roster. If we do have that on the roster, man, that's going to be sweet. All right. So some of the other teams on the defensive side, there was a poll that was put out about the Texans or the Ravens secondary, and people was asking who had the better secondary, and this was I think it happened right after the Jair Alexander sign, and for me, I'm going to give the Ravens the edge right now for health reason wise, right? I'm gonna give the Ravens the edge. I'm gonna say here, yes, Jair is healthy. Yes, Chidobe Awuzie is healthy. If both those guys are healthy, I'm gonna give the nod to the Ravens. If one or both of those guys are not healthy, I'm gonna give it a nod to the Houston Texans. And the reason why I'm gonna do that is because again, one team is a little bit more healthier, and I just feel like, hey, uh, they got their definitive positions that they want. With us, it's like, hey, okay, which two cornerbacks are we going to put on the field for the outside? What are we going to do with our star position, and who's going to play the third highest safety? That those are the questions that are unanswered right now, and that will be the only reason why um, not having those questions answered in the health would be the reason why I wouldn't put the Ravens over the Houston Texans as far as concerned secondary. All right. A surprise defense up here. Um, Probably none. Nobody is a surprise defense here. Now, I will tell you there is a surprise defense from 11 to 15 right down here in the bottom section. The surprise to me would be the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the reason why I would say that the Steelers would be the surprise here is because what they've been able to do early on in the season, when it comes down to defensive pressure, sacks, turnovers, what they've been able to do early on in the season has been truly remarkable. But they have not been able to sustain it. So whether it be the lack of offensive efficiency, whether it be the lack of complementary football, whatever it may be, for some odd reason, their defense starts to get tired or is no longer effective or whatever it may be. And they go from being super consistent to being, hey, they're more sporadic when they come down to their turnovers or their pass rush generation or them not being able to stop the run or whatever it may be. And I just felt like if they have another season like that, now we're talking they may not even finish in the top 15 when it comes down to points for and yards allowed and whatnot. So I feel like, hey, if they stay consistent, they could easily be a top five defense across the board, whether it be sacks, whether it be pass rush generation, whether it be yards allowed, or whatever it may be. Because if you look at their defense across the board, there are really no big issues. Now they do need some secondary depth, but if you just take them for what they are as ones, I believe there are no real significant holes on the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. So with that point, I feel they could surprise some people this year when it comes down to finishing in the top 10 for those particular categories, like I was talking about. So, all right, let's see. All right, let me go back up, make sure I didn't forget anybody questions or anything. Okay, cool. All right, so yeah. All right, so now this is the thing. I don't understand it, right? Maybe I'm crazy, but as a Raven fan, I've watched this and it kind of hurts me. It kind of ticks me off. Here's the reason why it kind of ticks me off. Not so much of hey, you wanna slander Lamar Jackson or you want to talk about Lamar Jackson and his lack of playoff depth or his lack of getting into the Super Bowl because we didn't even say he got to win it. Some people said, just the fact that he didn't get there, you know, and to me, I don't want him to just get there. I want him to win it. I don't want him to get there because I'm not going to be the fan that, hey, my quarterback made it to the Super Bowl. Absolutely not. I would never do that. You need to get to the Super Bowl. You need to win it. That's when I'm going to say something. That's when I'm going to talk about what my quarterback achieved and whatnot. And to me, or for me, some of these teams, the fans of these teams, are going out on the limb to kind of trash Lamar Jackson, whether it be, hey, you got five playoff losses, or you never made it to the Super Bowl, or you never won the AFC championship, or whatever it may be, right? And they're moving the goalposts when it comes down to, hey, what the team hasn't accomplished versus what he's done. Because if you look at it, right, there's been year in and year out where Lamar Jackson has been consistently a top five quarterback. There's been year in and year out Lamar Jackson has been top five in major stats or top three in major stats. Lamar Jackson was a unanimous MVP, right? So there's so many different. He's been the MVP multiple times. There's so many things he's done as a quarterback, whether it be rushing titles as a quarterback, whether it be passing yards leader, whether it be passing touchdown leader. Just he's done it all, right? And I'm not sitting there asking for. I don't want you to give me a cookie. I don't want you to give Lamar Jackson some crazy type of praise. What I don't want you to do though is, hey, I'm gonna put a quarterback, and I'm using an example. I'm not saying this. Anybody said it as of late, but Brock Purdy better than Lamar Jackson because he made it to the Super Bowl. That's why he's better. Oh, okay, cool. If that's what we're doing, so we like to do these things when it comes down to uh, certain quarterbacks. We like to propel our quarterbacks over other quarterbacks because they made it to the Super Bowl. Heck, no, we not. I'm not giving you a pass because you made it to the Super Bowl. I'll give you a pass when you go win it. When you go win it. When you went, four touchdowns plus in the Super Bowl and won it. That's when I start to give you a pass. I'm not giving you no doggone pass for 189 yards and two touchdowns in the Super Bowl, and you had a pick and you fumbled, you lost a fumble. I'm not giving you a pass for that. I'm not giving you a pass for 145 yards in the Super Bowl and you got three rushing touchdowns. You're a quarterback. I'm not giving you a pass for that. Right? Just not gonna do it. So when it comes down to this, everything stands the same way it would be if you win the Super Bowl or you don't win the Super Bowl when it comes down to ranking of the quarterback. No quarterback is going to get ranked over another quarterback unless I believe that quarterback is better than that particular quarterback. I'm not saying, hey, okay, hey man, for some odd reason, let's say Caleb Williams win the Super Bowl this year from the Bears. I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, it's Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, and then Caleb Williams is number three. No, absolutely not. Because how much sense does that make? It makes no sense whatsoever. So we got to stop doing that as fans. We got to stop doing that because I can tell you right now, even if Lamar Jackson wins the Super Bowl this year, I don't see anybody saying, "Hey, Lamar Jackson is better than Patrick Mahomes" at that particular point. I wouldn't see that. Maybe I'm wrong. Even then, if it does happen occasionally, that's not the norm. Everybody knows, hey, this is going to take multiple Super Bowls before we can consider any quarterback currently better than Patrick Mahomes. That's facts, right? But what I don't understand is when you go from 2 to 10, that's when stuff starts to get shaky. And it's because of quote unquote, hey, I don't like this particular quarterback, I don't like this particular team, or I feel like this guy only does this, or yada yada yada, and so forth. No, absolutely not. This is what needs to happen. If you're gonna sit and say, hey, a quarterback is definitively better, then it has to show, whether it be the stats, whether it be the head-to-head wins, whether it be taking his team and elevating his team in the playoffs. It got to be something that you can put your thumb on to say why this particular quarterback is better than the other quarterback. Not, oh, they won a Super Bowl and such didn't. Absolutely not. Because if we're gonna do that, if we're gonna say, hey, this quarterback is better because that quarterback won a Super Bowl. Well, if that's the case, then Matthew Stafford needs to be higher in your top 10 quarterbacks. Because I can tell you, most of the time, Matthew Stafford is anywhere from 6 to 10, or probably not even the top 10. But he won a Super Bowl. And he beat one of the guys that's quote unquote in the top five consistently, Joe Burrow. He beat him. So when it comes down to it, I just don't understand folks' logic. I don't understand people's logic when it comes down to using the Super Bowl as a metric. If you're gonna use Super Bowl as a metric to say who's definitively top five, top 10, or better, or whatever it may be, I just want you to do it for everybody. Please do it for everybody. Because if you're not gonna do it for everybody, then we can't pick and choose who we doing it for. Who we doing it for? Right? We just can't. Because I can tell you right now, if Jared Goff goes out and wins the Super Bowl, nobody's going to put Jared Goff in the top 10 for quarterbacks. Nobody. He goes to the Super Bowl. He can win the Super Bowl 50-0. Nobody's gonna say Jared Goff is a top 10 quarterback. Same thing with Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, right? You may give them their praise for being in the MVP race or something of that nature, but you're not gonna give them their credit when it comes down to being a top 10 quarterback just because they won a Super Bowl. It's just not gonna happen. Okay. All right. So let me see. Let me see if we got any other questions. I want for the fans, me and Lamar, he deserve it. Would love for Lamar to stick it to the haters' face. Yep, I'm with you, Don. And that's what it is. It's always been that situation where he's been doubted, and he's just had to constantly come back and prove himself each and every year. So, yep, they always move the goalposts. It's just like we talked about. All right. So yeah, hey, again, thank you guys for all the support, all the people that tuned in and whatnot. You asked a question, you got your question answered. Hopefully, if you got any other questions, feel free to leave them here with me. I'm gonna hang out for about 2 minutes before I pop off of here. Like I said, if you haven't already, make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe. If you got something that you want me to do, please let me know. Hey, coach, can you do this deep dive on this? Hey, can you talk about this particular thing? And I'm going to try and be as objective as possible. Do I love the Baltimore Ravens? Absolutely. Am I going to sit here and say, hey, the Ravens are going to go 20-0 and win the Super Bowl 100-0? Absolutely not. Even though that would be sweet, I'm probably not going to say that. Okay. So until then, thank you guys. Until then, we'll see you guys on the next one. Again, thank you guys for all the support that you've given me up until this point and all that you'll give me beyond it. If you guys couldn't see my slides or anything, or you couldn't hear me, please, please, please let me know. Hey, coach, I couldn't see this last slide, or I couldn't hear this when you said this and whatnot, because I want to make this as easy as possible and then enjoyable as possible for everybody. So, all right. So until then, all right. So no questions. Okay. All right. Till next time, I'll see you guys. You guys have a good one. Enjoy the rest of your day, and hopefully we'll see who the new champion is of the NBA Finals tonight. Whether it's OKC or whether it's the Indiana Pacers, either way, it should be a good one. All right. Thank you guys again. You guys have a good one. Peace.